You are witches, the most powerful trio of witches.
The highly anticipated new series.
You're the charmed ones.
Nothing is stronger than your sisterhood.
From the creator of Jane the Virgin.
Throughout history, strong women were called witches, and we are. We have to unite.
The powerful series premiere, Charmed, following the season premiere of Supergirl tonight on the CW.
It all starts at 8 p.m. Supergirl, followed by Charmed, only on the CW Philly.
Blog Talk Radio.
What up, dope people? This your boy, Willie Styles. Welcome to GFT Radio Show. Hope you guys are having a good evening. It's October the 11th, and we got a great show lined up for you. If you give me a second, I'm going to get Clint in here, and we can get this show started. But in the meantime, you're listening to Blog Talk Radio blogtalkradio.com/GFT Radio, and we have the voting show coming up. So give me a second here. Get Clint in here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. All right, so get him in here live.
What's going on, good people?
What up, though, sir? All right,
What's going on, good people? It's your boy Clint. You already know what it is.
Yep. So, like I said, thanks for joining the show. And, let me give out the information here. So, if you want to tweet us, you can add us at GFT_radio. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at GFT Radio Show. You can also get our merchandise. We're at teesprings.com/store/GFT Radio Show. And what else am I missing?
That's name out our Twitter and everything, or IG, everything. Yeah, we good.
Yep, at GFT_radio. Yep. All right. So today we're talking about being informed voters. We got a good show lined up for y'all. I think we've kind of talked about this in the past, and but it's it's that time of year again. It's time to talk about it again. It's time to definitely expand upon what we've been talking about, and it's more important than ever. Especially with the climate, the political climate that's going on out there. Between your boy Commander Cheeto with the recent appointment of Kavanaugh and all the other battles going on across the nation, trying to tip the scales either for the Democrats or the Republicans. I mean, me and Clint, we very big on voting independent as well. So, definitely, it's definitely the climate for a lot of change out there. So we want to talk about that tonight. So Clint, let's give you, why don't you give the folks your take on how you feel about the political climate right now, why you think it's very important to start or to consider voting this year.
Well, first of all, I'm not one of those people who believe my vote doesn't matter. You feel me? I always feel like if you focus on your local election and be gung-ho about that, get real into what's going on locally, it'll eventually have an effect nationally, So I always implore people, stay in tune. It's important to vote locally. And, with the climate, like you said, we need change. The previous administration, presidential administration, they preached change. But what has changed? Nothing. You get, what has changed in that time? Nothing. So you get this new administration in, and basically they're preaching the same thing, but to a different demographic of people, to a different pool of voters. They're preaching their message. Their message is a lot different, but at the same time, they're preaching change too. They're talking about making America great again, so they want America to go back to where it was. when it was more segregated, and it was more elitist, so to speak, even though it's very elitist now. So I think, like you said, I'm all for being independent. I don't play party politics because, in my mind, like I just go straight. Like I said, I just look at locally. And my city has forever been, since I've been alive, all I've known is Democrats in my city. Democrats have run my city, and my city has not gotten better over the years. It has gotten worse. I live in Trenton, New Jersey, the capital of New Jersey, the capital. And it is one of the worst cities in New Jersey. Now, I mean, especially starting with the administration. We've had so much turmoil here politically. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So my thing is, everybody like to vote. Most black people are my city's predominantly minority, black and Latino. And, everybody's so gung-ho for being Democrat, but nothing has changed. So my mentality has always been, well, yeah, we need a change. I'm not necessarily voting Republican just because the Democrats don't work. With me, it don't work like that. I'm for vetting the candidates and picking the best person for the job, or not just the best person for the job, the best person that line up with my political ideology, so to speak, who got my interests at heart, got my child's interests at heart. So that's what I look for when I vote, because the climate now is like, I remember I did a voting show before, and I mentioned the George Carlin bit where he was like, he doesn't vote, and I felt him so hard, and this is why, he was like, he don't vote, and he always complained about the people who do vote, because they always say, well, if you don't vote, you don't have the right to complain. He was like, I do. I could blame y'all because y'all voted these people in. Your politicians reflect. You know what I mean? Like, your politicians reflect the whole, so to speak. So our politicians are the reflection of us. They represent us. That's what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? So if we're not on point, if we're not informed voters, is basically what the show is about. This is what happens, and these are the type of candidates we get. We get poor candidates, not just running, but elected. You know what I mean? Like with the presidential election, most people was like, they stuck voting between two evils. Now, is that the candidate's fault, or is that the public's? You know what I mean? So I feel like it's up to us, it's up to the public to become more informed, and that's the only way we can change things politically, if the public is more informed. They don't want us informed. They don't want us on top of our toes to know what's going down. You understand? They don't want that. They just want to feed us BS, you know what I mean, stroke our egos, make us pander to us, so to speak, you know what I mean, make us feel good, make us feel important, and then do what they want to do because they know we really don't, we're unaware. We're unaware. And I think being unaware has got us where we at today.
Yeah, true that. I mean, I definitely echo all those sentiments, especially, when you mentioned about being uninformed about the general public. I mean, it's sad in a way, and then it's also overwhelming in a way because, like you mentioned, a lot of times these politicians are pandering. They're trying to tell us whatever we want to hear. I was looking at a pamphlet or advertisement recently from one of the political parties against one of their rivals, and they basically were saying how this woman who was running for, I believe she was running for like a local, not local, I take it back, like a state senate seat. And basically she made all these promises, said all these things, all these good things, all these great, initiatives she was going to put across the Senate, and she was going to, she used all the great buzzwords. I'm going to reach across the aisles. I'm going to, be, not, nonpartisan. We can't, fight each other. We have to work together. Blah 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 blah. So she put all that great information out there, got elected. Everybody was, hurrah, and she flipped on them. She flipped on everybody who voted for her in terms of the fact that she had her own interests at heart. She had, I guess, lobbyists that she was trying to appease and appeal to. So basically, the people who was putting money in her pocket. All of the promises and the initiatives that she was supposed to put through, they were saying basically she reneged on a lot of that. So there was, even in that situation where people feel like, hey, I did my homework on this candidate. They said they were going to do X, Y, and Z, and I feel like, they lined up with what I wanted to happen. They put their faith behind that person, and that person turned on them and did them dirty, right? So I think that, the overwhelming part of it is when you do your diligence and you get, that kind of result. But unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, I'm not even going to put that, not even going to say that for sure. I'm going to say 8 times out of 10. But 8 times out of 10, I can pretty much guarantee most people aren't doing the homework. Most people aren't checking, aren't, verifying everything that the person is putting their efforts behind or understanding the kind of the position and the stance that candidate has across all of the issues, because a candidate can talk a good game about, one particular issue, climate change maybe. They say, oh, yeah, I'm all for, protecting the environment. I'm all for taking care of protected areas. I'm all for, reducing pollution. But then, people aren't paying attention that on the other side, they wanna ban birth control, or they want to ban people being able to taking away civil liberty, or they might support those new initiatives that are reducing Medicaid and Medicare. So you have all of this hoopla and this fanfare about one political issue, but they keep it under wraps, everything else that they're doing, and then people get behind them on that one thing, and I noticed that with Trump. Trump was really big on talking about the draining the swamp. I'm draining the swamp. I'm draining the swamp. Make America great again. Which is the most vague comment you could ever make. There was, the Obama administration did it too. Oh, we're here for hope. We're here for hope. What does hope mean? What does hope mean to you? What does hope mean to me? It sounds great, but when you have to get behind something, you have to understand what it really means. What are their real ambitions and their real goals in this not only the campaign. That's the thing. It's two different things you got going on here. You got a campaign, and you have the actual work that has to be done behind it. And
it's like,
unfortunately,
it's like they feed.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was about to say, it's like they feeding us sugar but not giving us no substance. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like they're attacking our little. Like you said, they use them buzzwords, those phrases, you feel me, that attract us, that get those sensors buzzing. But behind that, there's no substance. You feel me?
Right,
like,
right.
What policies?
I got a personal. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, bro.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I got a person on the line here. I want to pull them in. It's like it's about that time. But anybody else who wants to call in, definitely call in at 657-383-1155. Let me see. All right, caller, you're live on GFT Radio Show. What's your name?
Greetings. My name is Sapphire. How are you all doing tonight?
Oh, hey, Sapphire. We've been a long time no talk, too.
Yeah, but I've been listening
in
to you all. I'm doing just fine. And I want you all to know that I listen to you faithfully. And I really appreciate the work that you do. Because I feel compelled to express my sentiments as it relates to voting and the system in general, if you will. And I don't want you guys to beat me up for what I'm about to say.
Oh, we're not going to beat you up. We love your point of view.
Okay. Now, and I'm not saying this is my personal belief, and I'm not trying to impress these beliefs on anyone. I want to put that disclaimer out there first. Now, having said that, I remember when, well, let me skip that. Let me just tell you what messed me up regarding the voting system. In college, a professor began to go over some key points for studying for exams, and I noticed he would always just lightly brush over the Electoral College. So as I began to question him about that, he would give me answers. As I began to research it, and when I realized what the Electoral College was, it really changed my mind about the entire political system in America and abroad. And I could not consciously participate in certain facets of voting. I just, it was just a drag on my spirit. However, as I did then, after finding out what I found out about the Electoral College, I did and do still believe that your local elections are very important, because your local elections will have to do with your water, the energy systems, the local judges, the school districts, and so forth. Now, I want to say this. In researching the Electoral College, it led me to this strange association, if you will, with the Democratic Party and Tammany Hall. And when I began to read in depth about Tammany Hall, I said, this is the entire political system right here. This right here, Tammany Hall, is the what is the word I want to use? Is the example that someone could use if they wanted to learn how to control the economics, the very mechanisms of the political climate in a state or a country. That is the prototype right there. Now, having said all that, I feel as Mark, what is this man's name? What is the old guy that did Huckleberry Finn? Mark Twain. Mark Twain said that, Mark Twain said that if, and oh God, I hate to say this. Please don't be angry with me, but these are my sentiments. Mark Twain said that if voting on that federal level really mattered, they would not allow us to do it. Now, that's not for anybody else to believe. People should research the candidates, as you all said, and vote accordingly. But those are my personal feelings. Suggesting, I said all that, so I want you all to read about Tammany Hall and the Electoral College.
So this is the thing. I mean, well, at least from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Sapphire, because I could be wrong about this. But basically, we don't have that ability to truly vote on that federal level when it comes to like the president and a couple other positions. We don't have that ability, right? Because at the presidential level, you got this electoral college going on where it's a select few, right? I don't know how many it is, but there's only so many people
exactly
who
right.
So I mean, I feel like you do, like I'm separated from the actual process in the fact that, from a popularity standpoint and hopefully will sway their vote type of standpoint, I'll vote on it, but the thing is, I know from what I've read that my vote in that regard, I mean, I hate to say it like you just said, I hate to say this, it don't count. It doesn't count for anything. Everybody who's right now still complaining about the popular vote from 2 years ago, what they don't get is that does not matter.
Mm-hmm. Can I count?
It only
that?
matters, like you said, in the local level. In the local level, yeah, all day they're giving us that right.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes up to that, you know, we're not allowed to make that ultimate decision.
You are correct, 100% correct.
Can I counter that real quick?
And can I say this to you all really quick? So when people challenge you about popular opinion and you question them regarding the Electoral College, they have no answer for you. This is what I've noticed. I'd like to know if you all have noticed that.
I've definitely noticed that. Here's my counter to that. And I'm going to tell y'all why I kind of agree with the Electoral College. I know I'm in a minority here. Will, what's my common theme about most people? What I usually say?
Talking about the
people in general. They just what?
Oh,
they just not what?
They're not
They're
smart.
just not that smart.
They're
just not that smart. The majority of people are just not that smart. So I always go back to the Socrates saying, where he was like, you know, because we're not a democracy. That's what people got to get out their mind. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. You feel me? And a democracy, popular opinion or popular vote wins. In a republic, it doesn't work like that. They always get a two wolves, one sheep analogy. You know, in a democracy, in a democracy, if the two wolves vote to eat the one sheep, well, guess who lose? The sheep. In a republic, you feel me? It don't work like that. It's rule of law. We ruled under law, not popular opinion. You feel me? So 1,000 people could be against 10 people. That don't make them 1,000 people correct. You understand? Because, you know, most people are informed.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? That's what Socrates was saying. He was like, everybody shouldn't have the right to vote. Remember, I said this before. I told you that before. Like, I always speak about myself going into the voting booth the first time. I was so ignorant. I didn't know who I was voting for, what I was voting for. All I knew, ancestors died for the right to vote. My grandma vote, great-grandma vote. She walked her old behind around there faithfully, love her to death, to vote back in the day, all the time. So guess what? To honor my grandma, I'm going to just go vote. Who she vote for? Oh, you voting Democrat, grandma? I'm voting Democrat. Boom. Walk out of there. I don't know who the hell I done voted for, what the hell I done voted for. I just followed party lines. I'm no better. You feel me? And I think that was a local election too. So I was no better than, you know what I mean, the worst person who say local elections don't count or local election votes don't count or whatever. I'm worse than them. I'm part of the problem. I was part of the problem because I don't know what I'm doing. And I know for a fact we have too many people out there who vote the same way. I used to get in arguments with people all the time when they tell people or try to guilt people or shame people into voting when they be like, our ancestors died for this. Okay, cool. I respect that. I salute them. But they didn't just die for us to be ignorant. You know what I mean? We have to be well informed. We have to know what we're doing. You know what I mean? So my thing when it comes to that, go ahead.
Are you saying to me or us that most people don't deserve the right to vote because they don't have the intellectual compass to understand who or what they're voting for? Is that what you're saying?
Or they don't even care. They don't even care.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
But they went to the booth.
A lot of people vote. You know what I mean? Just to say they voted. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well,
a lot of people vote just to say they voted.
Well,
I know
I
too
think
many people.
I'm on a split about it because I feel like people are. It's not that they're not. It's not that they're all not intellectually able. It's just they're too lazy to use their intellect to do it.
Exactly.
Either they're too lazy, or like you said, they don't care. All right, or they don't care. But there are some people who won't fathom it, who won't even study it enough. Like you took the time, Sapphire, to go learn about the Electoral College. I've told people exactly what the Electoral College is all about, and they still don't get it. They still come back at me like, but what about the popular vote? And it's like, dude, that only works at certain levels. Like, slow down, listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. They don't, they just don't get it. They look at it from the standpoint of what they were taught in fourth grade, is that we live in a democracy and everybody gets a vote, and no matter what, the most votes win, and that's all they live with. That's all they stick to, and as well as that whole idea of, mama said vote for this person, so that's what I'm voting for. Or this name sounds good, that's what I'm voting for. I mean, I literally heard people in a voting line in line talking about, oh, I know who that is. That's such and such. I remember that name. That's a good family. I'm voting for them. Like that's your deciding factor is what family they came from. Like
yes, it is. I want to show you something quickly. So you said that your grandma, you would vote for the candidates that your grandma would suggest. That I remember you saying that, right?
The first time I ever voted. Yeah, the first time
you ever voted. Now, I want you to think about this because you said something very powerful. You said that America was not a democracy; it was a republic. Now, people don't know how powerful that statement is, but I'm going to draw these two together.
Mm-hmm.
The democracies are based on popular opinion, the power of the people, and a republic is based on law. Now, if you research in the Black Hawk book, they will lead you to believe that everything that is legal is not necessarily lawful. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right. So when these politicians and these laws lead us to believe that there is a direct line drawn between church and state, the two are never combined, they tell us. But most black people get their voting ideas from the church, the preacher man.
Yep.
And this is why politicians court and load with favors and gifts black preachers. This is when you see where they go, when you see who they're talking to. George Bush, I remember him saying his right-hand man in the black community was T.D. Jakes. People, the hair should have stood on the back of people's necks, but they didn't get it. They didn't get it. You see what I'm saying? See, because why am I saying this? Because I'm not telling you what I think or how I feel. I'm telling you what they say the law is, that there is a separation and state. Is that the law?
Right, exactly. They tell us that.
Okay, so how is it then that a candidate arm or a hand in the black community vicariously through a preacher, a mega?
Yeah.
Or even worse, is a preacher.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. What are people really doing? You say that they're voting, they don't need the right to vote because they don't understand what they're doing. But what are they really doing? What is the process of them going to the booth and voting do for the morale of a person? I'm not saying it's tangible, but what does it do for the morale?
But I think well, at least I think the route you're going right now, Sapphire, is I think people vote with not only their intellect, but they vote more with their heart in terms of how they've been swayed, either by a family member, by the church, by their community, maybe by their loyalty to their hood. They vote with their hearts,
And
Go Go ahead.
I was going to say that goes to what I was saying about me. Like when I went and voted that first time, I was proud at first.
See
you know
there?
what I mean?
Yeah.
I was proud, but you see, I'm will tell you, like, I'm a self-reflective person. You feel me? I'm critical think. I like to critical think as well. So that's why the first thing that hit me after that sense of pride and that sense of accomplishment was, oh shit, excuse my language, but what did I just do really? Did I help the cause or did I hurt the cause? What is the cause? See, now I got to start asking questions that I don't even have the answer to. So why did I just go in that booth? It's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of almost like I was gullible. You know, that's kind of what I'm saying about most people. We're gullible to certain things because of that pride, that sense of pride, that thing that you said that isn't really tangible, but, you feel it. But it doesn't really last long because there's no substance behind it. You know, it's like when Willie brought up you talking about the Electoral College. See, I know you know what you're talking about. You understand? I looked it up too. Willie looked it up too. But if somebody listening that just heard you say it and just ran with it, even though you're correct, that's bad business. That's bad dope. Because they're not doing the research themselves, so they're really just going off the word of somebody else just because they sound intelligent, just because they articulate themselves correctly. So now you can get, that's the devil. I ain't a religious person at all, but I like this analogy. The devil not going to come to you crazy. The devil going to come to you very intelligent. You know what I mean? Because he knows that's the way to get you. You know what I mean? The devil, and so anybody could articulate themselves very well got you. Because most people are that he sounds smart. She sounds smart. They sound like they know what they're talking about. And especially
do I represent the devil?
No, I'm not saying
in the conversation.
No, not
at
all.
I'm not. I love you, and I wouldn't be offended. I'm just asking now. That's all. But wait a minute. I do want to play the devil's advocate. I want to play the devil's advocate here. I want to ask you this: possible for a people in this North American container to have upward mobility and equity and justice, a group, a culture of people, even if they don't vote, even if they don't deal with politics?
Yes. Like we always talk about, just look at the Asians.
That's why I love y'all. That's why I love y'all. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the best way to, you know why? Because they keep their money in-house. See, that money is power.
Exactly.
That land, all that is power. We give it away. Black people just give it away to everybody. We don't keep it in-house.
So I want to show you this.
When you can self-contain your own government, your own economic system, your own everything, it becomes irrelevant what's happening on the outside.
Because you flourish in spite of. I want to show you all this. When I looked at the Tammany Hall situation, I believe this was in late 1700s or, well, it was, I don't remember the exact years, but
yeah, had to do with something in New York, right?
They controlled the state of New York.
Yeah.
The mayors, the economics, the railroads, everything, construction. Because here's the key now. Here's the key. Not because of who they voted for, but because of the holdings that they had. Because of the amount of real estate that they had as a group. You see what I'm saying? Come together, vagabonds, putting their money together. I don't care what they say these people were millionaires. No, they weren't. Some of these people were let out of European prisons to come over to America to start a new life. If they swore on the King James Version of the Bible that they were Christians and that they, accepted Christ as their personal savior, and that they would come over and they would do the business of the powers that be. So a lot of those people were criminals, right? Very savvy criminals. And what I'm saying here is when we look at Asians, I'm not saying that they're criminals, but they make crappy products with dangerous, toxic ingredients. The only people that they make good products for are people who have money, holdings, and power. Use my expression, that they sell us in the swap meet and at the nail shop and at the Chinese food place is hazardous to our health because they don't respect us. Why don't they respect us? Because if I can come into your community and make food for you that's not conducive to your diet and sell you trinkets and bullshit and put my kids through college and continually discriminate and marginalize against you, why would I respect you?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Sure. They don't vote. You don't see them as politicians, yet they have a substantial holding and steadily gaining. They're only a small percentage of the American population, yet they have more wealth than all black folks combined. This is what we need to think about. This is what we need to think about. Really.
True.
I mean, I look at it as the fact that they stay focused on the ultimate goal and haven't allowed, internal BS to sway them, where we allow everybody to come in and tear us apart. There's no common goal in mind. What's your favorite phrase, Clint? All skin folk ain't kinfolk because we ain't all on the same page. We all ain't on the same page in terms of how we want to put our loyalties. And not to say we need to put our loyalty to money or wealth as a whole. What I'm saying is I think that we have to understand that there's a benefit to that, though. There's a benefit in the long run for ourselves, our families, and our legacy. There's a benefit to being able to build something and then later on know that, your children or your children's children won't have to worry or won't have to struggle because you've already laid a foundation for them. So the fact that, like you said, the fact that they have, stayed focused on that. I mean, some of them, a lot of them, have taken a nefarious route to it in terms of how they've treated others outside of their community. But the thing is that they stay focused. They understood what it would take to build that wealth, and they just stayed focused on it and did it. And there's other people who do that with other things. I got like my boss. He talks about this all the time in terms of how he built up his own wealth and his own business and things that he's doing. He works a 9 to 5 to supplement one of his hobbies versus his own business, which actually builds wealth for his children and his children's children. So they stay focused.
Yeah. Well, what they did to us, real quick. What they did to us.
I'm sorry.
Just real quick. What they did to us is they shook us at our foundation, meaning like the black community. Early. When I say they shook us at our foundation, that they infiltrated and what they did was they brought strife within the community. That's why most black communities aren't communities anymore. You know what I mean? We're not a community. We don't look after each other like we're supposed to.
Man, that's powerful. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
That's truth right there. Nobody can unpack what you just said and give any answer to it to take away from that truth right there. No one can discredit that truth. I'm going to build on what you just said, and what I'm going to say is going to be very controversial, but this is just my observation, right? Now, in studying travel, you will notice that Asians travel in groups, and people talk about them, and they say things, these mainland Chinese. They came to Paris or they went to South Africa or just wherever. They go everywhere, Italy. And they have instance after instance where 20 of them were arguing with clerks at the hotel front for not respecting a coupon that they were going to use that they got online. And they were saying they just gave in because they're loud and they're ignorant. But here's one thing that I noticed. Now, they can say what they want about these people. But here's the thing. They have the money to travel because they travel in groups and there's discounts in groups. Not only that, when they make their reservations, you know exactly who they are, what they are, and where they're coming from. So when I looked at them, I noticed this. They all look alike. Now, just walk with me here. They all look alike. And a lot of people think that is a negative thing, and they bash Asians for that. But it works in their favor. Because even when Hoteppers are talking about how, the Asians are racist against Cambodians and Philippines, and some of those people are black, they don't understand what they're saying themselves, because Asians don't consider anybody Asian but them. But black people, when they travel, you can't tell who's white, who's black, or mulatto, who's or what they're calling biracial, or who you don't know who's what, and everybody's telling you I'm black. And this is where the division comes in. Now, I just got to put this out here. Regardless of how we feel, what our family units are, we have an open policy with our culture, with our phenotype. It's so broad that anybody can be black. So that's why other people advance. And lastly, I want to say this. Asian people have movie stars and radio personalities that they subscribe to. They don't give two damns about that. They worship business and culture. That's it. That's it. They don't have to give me one Asian movie star that Asian people are running behind. They got K-pop, but everybody on there looks the same.
Yeah, I feel you. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's the culture. It's not the particular person. It's the
yes,
it is. The lifestyle.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's the lifestyle. But yeah, and I mean, I think when you say about the open policy, I mean, at first I kind of was like, but then I thought about it, and I'm like, I see what you're talking about. And I mean, some of it's not just us, right? Because some of it is them who want to get into that as well. But I think it's the exclusivity, right? And it's not just Asians either. And there's a couple of other ones that do it too, where they prefer the exclusivity because it does strengthen them, right? Not to say that it's 100% right, not to say it's 100% wrong, but that's the reason and that's the purpose. And it's to build that strength around their culture, because it keeps their culture with them. You know, you don't see them going, oh, you know what, we're going to sell or advertise this part of our culture for other people to pick up and to be a part of and all this kind of stuff. They don't do that like just about everybody else. They keep that to themselves. You know, they don't mind you visiting, but you got to get the hell out of here when you're done. So
that's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't create grocery stores for other people's diet. They don't, like, whatever you like. If you're trying to eat some sushi, you might find it, or some what is that that loud garlic sauce kimchi, you might get some of that, but you're not gonna get what's conducive to your diet or what your grandparents grew up on in their supermarket. It's not gonna happen.
And that goes back to what we were saying. Basically, the broadest point is like we really don't know who we are, so we're trying to be. It's like we're trying to find ourselves, so we latch on to anything that we can latch on to. And we include people that we shouldn't include sometimes in our community, and that's where the strife comes in. That's where the
division,
the constant
yeah.
the division,
Yes.
the division. That's where the division comes in. Thank you, because we're fighting ourselves. It's like look at like a person who don't know who he is or who she is, and she's constantly in a battle with herself, and that person can't go nowhere because they don't know who they are. And as a community, that's where we at. We don't know who we are, so we're not going nowhere. We're just going in circles. We're taking from other cultures. We don't know our culture. Like they killed us at the foundation. And so
but
at
you
some
know
point,
what? Here's the thing. If you okay, I agree with you totally. You know that. But if we're going to say that they killed us, we have got to take some of that responsibility, because here's the thing. We know exactly who we are, because we know who to consider unattractive in our community. We know who we are. We don't like who we are. And let me go even further. One of my Nigerian friends, a professor, he told me this. He said, I would go to him about his opinions and what we needed to do to fix our problems. He never would answer. Never would. He said, that's so controversial. So a couple of years later, we were talking over drinks, and he said, okay, I'm going to tell you one thing that really bothered me about the black community in America. He said, when your professors came forward and said that America needed to recognize Ebonics as a language, he said, you should have never shot that down. You should have never shot that down. He said, because there are more people who speak it that don't in your community, and had you made it a native tongue or a language or a patois, whatever, of your culture, people have to respect it, and no one can tell you you can't speak like that. When you come for your license or whatever you're doing, they have to recognize it as a language. And I was angry when he said that. I said, so you're saying you want us to speak like slaves? He said, you don't understand what I'm saying, but you continue to think about it and you will. And he was right. He was right.
Wow.
See how she just brightened up my life right there? See how she just brightened up my life right there? Wow.
Man, I didn't think, I never
what
thought
do you
about
think
it
about
like
it?
that.
I think that's genius. I never looked at it that way. I never looked at it that way. And now that you talk about it, now that you say that, I want, like, it's this guy out there, his name Brother Polite. And I remember listening to him on YouTube one day, and he said, you feel me, culture, there is no culture without no language. There is no people without no language. You feel me? A people, a culture, they create a language. If you can't go and find that language from that culture, then it never existed. It's not real. Or they, language evolves over time. But most cultures, most people had their own language. Even like Africa, when the tribes split and spread apart, it's a lot of them spoke the same language, but when they spread apart, they created their own dialogue, their own, slang, yeah.
Right,
and
right.
And now that you say that, like, we should have did that with us. We should have did that with us. But we
you know what made me know he was
we wanted
right?
to be white so bad.
There you go. You want me to let you know what made me know he was right, and it took me a year to realize he was right? When I began to see, as reading and listening to audiobooks, and I began to see narratives that would refer you to the Urban Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
In the Urban Dictionary, they breaking down Ebonics, but we said that was ignorant. So you see what I'm saying? We are in a parasitic relationship. You position yourself adjacent to the black community, you will get rich. They will allow you. Everybody understands that you suck the life out of them, and you don't ever take your foot off their neck. Keep giving them images that don't look like them. Make them worship those images. Take everything that is innately them and authentically be them and make fun of it. Make jokes about it. Laugh about it. You see what I'm saying? But until Black folks can get their culture together, and it wouldn't even take a 10-year span. It wouldn't even take a generation. All they have to do, it would. The thing is, the reason they can't do it because it's going to be very painful. It's going to chop up families, but they're going to have to understand who is black and who is not. There are colored people, people of color, are other people, and there are black people, the original people of the earth. Now, when they understand who's black and who's not that we don't love those people, but you don't represent me. So you can't be our teenage idol for our children because you don't look like us. The Asians are not going to let you get on K-pop wearing no... They won't even know. You can research this. China banned hip-hop and jailed the kids that were trying to look like Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, wow.
I posted that. I posted that before. They banned a lot of rap over there. Yep.
Wrong.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this though and I think part of it is going back to the whole aspect of not appropriation, but giving it away, right? When we give the culture away. But in terms of the creations, right? Just being a little bit of a devil advocate on this side of it. I mean, I think sometimes as a people we value or celebrate our creativity, and we celebrate our ability to adapt, which is on the opposite side of this in terms of like I think what you said, Clint, of we try so hard to be white, right? So I think part of it is we celebrate a lot of our creativity and being able to create culture and create lifestyle at the drop of a hat that everybody else is going to love. You know, unfortunately, we give it away, and we don't sell it for ourselves. We give it away, and somebody else pimps us for it and sells it. And then on the opposite side of that is the fact that we value our adaptability in terms of being able to intermix with other cultures, other people, other lands, and things of that nature. I think we do that a lot of times because of our history, because of what we have lost in our lost identity. Like we've lost part of our identity, so it creates that need to adapt to others' identity. You know, I mean, is that a truly bad thing from a day-to-day perspective? I don't really think so.
No, it's not a bad thing, but here's the thing. If you don't have a solid foundation for your culture and you take your culture with you everywhere you go, we understand that. You can mix and mingle with whoever you want, but understand this. They can admire your culture, but they don't become one of you. That's our problem. You can go anywhere you want in the world, but stop making people the representative of us who don't look like us. I was watching a movie from the 20s, and I watch old movies when I'm bored, the business movies, right, about moguls and everything. And there was this one movie, this man led a corporation, and everybody wanted to kill him because he fired a guy who had been with the company since the inception, had made a lot of money for the company, but this guy had ties to another company, and everybody's saying he's a good guy, he's done a lot for us. And long story short, when they had the biggest board meeting, the guy that he fired had a heart attack and died, and everybody said, you deserve to die, you know, you're the worst. And he said to them, this is what he said. He said, nothing belongs to you unless you are willing to nurture it, grow it, protect it, and nourish it and abide by it with your life. I thought that was so powerful. And I liken that to us and our culture. It's not yours if you don't protect it, nurture it, grow it, sustain it. It's everybody's. That's why you have Eminem. Now, I told brothers years ago that they're going to call him the leader of rap. What are they calling him? The rap god now. But he can't. But I'll bet you what, he can't be a Samoan playing a ukulele, and they're not going to respect him in their culture. He's not. He wouldn't be able to go and master Arabic music. They're not going for it. But where everybody needs to come is the Black community, because they have no borders. They don't respect their own culture. They don't guard it. They don't love it. They don't nurture it. Everybody, oh, he Black, she's Black. No, that's your friend. That's your family member. And you can have family members who aren't Black. Don't make them us. I respect you. You respect me. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I can't argue with that. You definitely hit the nail on the head hard, because I mean, Clyde Kepis, you're right. It's
we have to take control of our narrative.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the
it's
problem.
the truth.
That's one of the major problems. We don't have control of our narrative. We're letting somebody else tell us our narrative as a whole. You know, with some of us who, out there who's trying to define us, give us a definition, trying to, give us that sense of pride, but also implement things in play to nurture that pride, to keep it going. You know what I mean? And
you're supposed to dictate to people what is precious and what your narrative is, and they're supposed to get on board with it, because like my Nigerian friend said, there are people who have a deep Southern twang who are very intelligent. And when people hear them, they think, well, there's no way that could be a rocket scientist. But no. Here's what he said to me. When you make people respect your culture and your language, then they have to accommodate you and deal with you within the scope of what you say your language or what it means. Don't tell us what we're saying is ignorant. We're going to tell you what we think is ignorant. And he said we dropped the ball on that, and we missed out on that because people have Yiddish. You understand what I'm saying? All these different languages were not original. Arabic is not an original language. It is not. I don't care what anybody says. It's
English
not.
isn't even an original language.
We dropped the ball on that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not at all.
English isn't even an original language. It's an older language.
No, it's
now.
A bastard language. It's comprised of like 40 different languages.
Word, yep.
Right.
That's why it's always accepting new words. That's why, you know what I mean?
But you better speak it. You better speak it if you want to do business on this earth. You better know how to speak it, right?
Yep.
Right.
With all the athletes that go professional out of high school and out of college, with all of the athletes and celebrities that we have, if we had maintained our own language, our own dialect, people would have to speak to us and understand what we mean, not what they think we mean.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to negotiate a contract for this athlete, you're going to have to come down here. You're going to have to eat my food. You're going to have to understand when you're saying something that offends me. You're going to have to understand our customs. Like Asian people don't believe in touching. If it's a business encounter, don't hug them or don't. You see what I'm saying? Well, listen, Black folks got some situations that we respect, and Black people, we don't like other people to touch us. Everyone knows that about us. Do not touch them. I remember this one professor said the one thing she was telling, there were some trainees that were coming and they were going to counsel the students, and she said, just remember, don't touch them. They do not like for strangers to touch them. And I just fell out laughing because I said, that's us. But guess what? We didn't hold on to our stuff. But it's a business practice for the Asian, so there are books written about how to court them in the business arena. Don't touch them. Don't be personal with them. You don't talk about certain things. I mean, I really don't give two damns about them. I'm just using them as an analogy for the culture that we have.
They're, right, but to say they're a great example of how they contain that culture and how they structured it.
Yes,
like you said, they structured it to gain respect. I mean, because what you're talking about in terms of people having to get books or learn how to court them in business. I mean, talk about level of respect. I mean, I worked for a company. I actually worked for Mazda for a while, and we had classes on how to deal with our overseers and our supervisors from Japan. So we had to learn how to work with them. That's what you call gaining that respect for your own culture. That's next level. Yeah, nobody
get back to that level?
Or our people. They barely respect us. So yeah,
that's because we have no. We don't. We can get back to that, level. But it's going to be painful. Do you agree? It's going to be painful because you're going to have to look your friend in the face and say, "Bruh, I love you. You're my bestie. We hang out together, and I'm going to continue to love you. If you need some money, I got your back. It's sick. I'm going to be there. But you're not black. Mm-hmm. You're not."
And then we have to, within our own, like me and my boy always say, we're at a point where we have to destroy and rebuild, and then also, some people just gonna get left behind. Like Willie said, my thing is all skin folk ain't kin folk. So it's like, the ones that's gonna bring you down in the waters is the ones that's closest to you. You feel me?
But
and that's
culture
one thing
makes that adjustment for you because when your culture dictates that you don't put energy into. See, there are people who override certain cultures. Like I had a neighbor who was Asian, and she said her family. She said they still pay my rent in college. They still pay my rent, and they still help me. I still go to family functions, but they don't sponsor me for things because my boyfriend is black.
Yeah.
Now unpack that. Did you hear what I said? They still love her. Yeah. I said, well, why won't they? You're a smart girl. Why won't they help you with your business? She says, because our money has to stay in our family. Did you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, because her child's money ain't going, you feel me? Will have other hands in it. And they don't want other hands in it.
Do we practice that?
Mm-mm. Nah. My thing is, we need to learn. My point is, we need to learn from our history. Like, we did a show, I don't know if you listen, Sapphire, about the Black Panthers. And it's this amazing Black Panther documentary. I forget the name of it now, and it escapes me. But if anybody out there listening, go back and listen to our Black Panther show about the real Black Panthers and Party for Self-Defense. And, they created such a strong movement, Black political party. Like, they could, they got the pride, they had the things in place. Without them, you wouldn't have WIC, like the WIC program and stuff like that. All types of stuff they did. Right.
They fed children. They fed
children, educated.
They did grassroots things.
Yep.
Do you know what their downfall was? Because I know what their downfall was. Do you know what their downfall was?
Poor leadership.
By who? By who?
By Cleaver and Huey Newton.
Well, now let's put Cleaver.
And they were infiltrated.
Okay, let's put Cleaver and Huey Newton aside. But let me show you what happened to them. Put Cleaver. See, those Cleaver and Huey Newton. Those were pawns that were put to the forefront. But there were people who were grassroots, who weren't carrying guns, who were about protecting businesses. Your grandma and your baby girl could walk to the school and to the park without being robbed or accosted. They started a grassroots thinking or mindset that what stopped it was that
they did.
Now this is gonna hurt y'all's feelings now. But I've got to be real. Brothers began to bring their white girlfriends into the organization. That's how they stopped feeding children. The black women didn't like it was a slap in the face to be working beside them. Now, if you read the books, they're not going to show you that. You have to talk to people who had elders and their families who were serving breakfast, who were on the neighborhood watch, where you would walk behind the. Yeah.
I gotta find this documentary because the documentary had the people, the actual people that were there that you're talking about. You know, because at some point, like you know, I mentioned Newton and Cleveland, but like you said, they were the head. But those people followed them. The people who actually made the organization run, to your point, were the black women. The black women kept everything in that organization day to day. They kept that thing running like clockwork. That's what mainly the documentary was pointing out. You know, everything that you talk about, like that grassroots. The problem in the documentary, where they said it spread so much like wildfire, they didn't expect it to pop off like that. Like when that was just supposed to be a local thing in Oakland. That was just supposed to be. That's what they thought. And when that thing spread and it sparked all across the nation, you feel what happened? Like you just said, they start letting any and everybody be a part of it. Start letting people that weren't vetted open up chapters all across the country, you know.
And starting trouble.
And starting trouble.
Right,
yep.
okay,
so now
trouble,
you got all you got.
The meaning of the name. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So
hey,
now
guys,
all you got
guys,
is a bunch of disorder.
Let me bring this other caller in real quick. 1 second. And
okay.
Again, the number is 657-383-1155. We're technically in the after show, but I think we already went off on our little tangent journey here, but it's all good. It's a good conversation. I'll just bring in this new caller. Caller, you're on live with GFT Radio. What's your name?
Yeah, this is Naj. What's going on?
What's going on, Naj?
Ain't nothing, man. Sitting here, I'm just catching y'all right now. So I missed the majority. So I'm just, I get in where I fit in, but I'm just catching up where y'all are right now in the conversation.
Basically, we were, we was talking about politics, and we were talking about. We ended up getting into how certain communities are, and we specifically spoke about the Asian community, how they don't vote, but yet they hold so much power because they keep their money in-house. They have a sense of community. They have their own culture. They stick to our culture. And then we went on about how we, as a black people, in order for us to gain that power, we need to get that sense of community, that sense of our own culture. We too inclusive. We don't have no exclusivity. We latch on to everybody else. And from there we came to how we start talking about the Black Panthers and how that was their downfall, because Sapphire asked, well, how do we get back to that power? How do we regain power? And they killed, and that was pointed out, and we pointed out that they killed us at our roots. So in order for us, we gotta destroy and build, destroy and rebuild. Everybody not going to make it. All skin folk and kinfolk, So in order for us to do that, we have to start our own party, or we have to get our own culture intact. And I guess that's basically where we at now.
Oh, okay, I got you. Cool. Conversation, man.
Yeah, I think too. The thing is that we have to make that decision too of are we really all in this thing together in the same focused manner, right? What's the ultimate goal? And I think a lot of times, like you said, where the cut is going to be made in terms of who's going to make it through this whole situation is in that focus. Is what they're focusing on. There's people who want to be in this global, everybody included society, and I think there's going to be the separatists. Then there's going to be the people who are just going to say, hey, we have a focus or a goal in mind, and these. I guess actually Sapphire's method is probably the best in this example, in terms of, you have to close in that culture and say, we're only going to allow these things to be done, and we're going to need to be respected in this way, in this manner. We're going to need to be approached in this way, in this manner. You're not going to be able to just do us any old kind of way, and I think that's kind of like what's going to have to be important in a movement like that, or in a movement towards gaining that kind of respect and gaining that foothold in this society.
Yeah, I get what you're coming from. Like, the biggest thing when talking about black people is power. That's the biggest issue. We've always, I don't say always, but we've kind of fallen into this thing about thinking it's about attitude and how people feel about us, when in reality it's the power dynamic that's the issue. And like what y'all saying, this is kind of traditionally what we do. The people who do the work, they get their group, they decide their guidelines of what they're going to do, and they push forward, because you're not going to get everybody. As you said, you look at any of our movements in the past, they didn't have everybody. Matter of fact, they had people on the other side of town saying how they were moving too fast, or they're too radical, or they don't agree with them on this, that, and the third. So, no, it ain't about convincing everybody. It's about just getting what you decide is important to you, and getting around like-minded people and just doing the work, man. But spending time trying to pull the middle of the roaders and convince them, these are usually the people who benefit from the actions from the activists and the organizations that do the work, even though during the time they were nowhere to be seen.
I have a question.
Yeah, the middle of the roaders will definitely waste your time too.
But as it relates to groups and getting people together, we've been doing that since the dawn of time. Mm-hmm. More importantly, we've been doing that for the past 500 years. It has not worked. We will say in different layers of time it has worked for us. We'll say that, we'll brag about that, but no, the end didn't justify the means. So what I'm saying here is, I believe a part of overhauling the culture is understanding we're about a culture, not an organization, not a group, not the middle. Even the middle roader is in the culture. But the middle roader, if the mindset takes hold, then people understand you can be a middle roader. You could be that. But if you don't subscribe to these laws that we have for our culture, appreciate, and we love and we live by this culture, then there's certain things you're not going to be able to take hold of. You're not going to get left real estate. You're not going to get hired in our Fortune 500 company. There, if we know about it. So then it becomes, a respect thing. Because if I get out in the public eye, damn how I feel personally. But because I'm a part of this culture, if I get out in the public eye and I demean my culture or embarrass my culture, there are going to be repercussions. Not that people are going to be violent, but you just understand there are other cultures who understand these laws. They understand this. If you're either a part of this culture or you are not. And if you are not, you better act like it, because you are phenotypically and genetically us. You're gonna have to act like it. And if you don't, there's going to be repercussions.
I think I got an example for that one too. I mean, not the stereotype, but look at like Italians and then the mob culture back, in the early 1900s going through until the late 60s. Not every Italian person was part of that mob culture, not part of those mob ties, but there was people who benefited because they either were in the middle of the road, because they were like, I can dabble, I can have this, this close affiliation, and I can still benefit, because I'll follow the rules. So it definitely
exactly.
Stuff is that they knew that they couldn't handle being fully in and fully involved. They couldn't handle it, but they knew that there was a benefit to adhering and to getting in line. And then there's the people who are on the polar opposite side who may have still benefited just from the residuals. You still got those people. They're like, hey, I'm not even a part of this, but from the residual aspect of we're going to take care of our own.
And it had to do with respect. And my favorite part of that movie The Godfather. Well, you didn't speak about the movie, but you're talking about that Italian mob culture. But when I think about The Godfather, my favorite parts of the movie was the parts where there was a lesson or a moral to the story that had to do with respect. And when the dad got shot up, I don't subscribe to violence in any form or fashion, but when the dad got shot up and they had to protect him in the hospital, there was a baker who, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, the baker who the dad had given a break. I don't know if that was his mom, where she didn't have $5 on her rent, and the owner was going to put her out, and the dad paid for it. And so when the guy got older, he was a baker. He said he was literally saying, I'm not a gangster, but I respect your father and your family, and I'm going to stand here and do what you need me to do. Now, he almost died of fear, but that's culture right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Let's put the violence aside.
Right. If I could stack on what you just said, there's the moment where they're talking to the guy wants to introduce drugs, and Sonny says something in the middle of it. They get done with the meeting, and he says, never speak in front of in front of people who aren't in the family. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, we're a united front when we're out in public or we're out talking to other people. And kind of to get at what y'all was just talking about, like when you're talking about the idea of culture, when you have a culture that's not uninterrupted, culture that's uninterrupted, it runs on autopilot. You don't have to explain why you shouldn't do this, that, and the third.
Yes,
so
sir.
the consequences are going to be immediate. And like you said, they're not always violent. Sometimes you just ostracize. And if we really go back in our history and actually start talking about who we are culturally, that was a big thing, getting pushed into exile because you did something, you broke a taboo that the group considered to be, you know what I mean, beyond the pale. Like, there's no fixing you. Right. You did this. You got to go. Pack your stuff up. You got to go. Like, so, I'm definitely understanding where y'all coming from. And look, Amos Wilson, I think he talked about this well, man. He's probably one of the best people when we start talking about culture within us. And that book, The Blueprint for Black Power, still out there. I mean, you can get it on Amazon and some of these places. Really good lessons in there, really good strategic breakdown of what culture is and what it means, and pulling some stuff from the past, but throwing some stuff from the past away that don't apply. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what? He is the best. Dr. Amos Wilson is the best.
Say the title of the book again.
The Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. And you can get on YouTube and find a bunch of his lectures. He's one of the great minds we've ever produced on this continent. And, of course, he was in obscurity. You're not going to find, statues of him and him everywhere because he's talking about things that the power structure doesn't like. Like he's not going to be the one.
This is where.
Do you remember when I want to say this. He gave a lecture.
Sapphire.
Okay.
One second, because I wanted to go back to a point you made before I lose it real quick.
Okay.
And this is where a lot of people, this is where me and you may veer off. I believe, and this is where I veer off from a lot of my friends, because they say the same thing. We all of what we're saying, and I know about Amos Wilson. I just want y'all to repeat that for the listeners. It's 100. But let me tell y'all something. It means nothing if you're not willing to die for it. You see, we can compare and kill for it. You see, we can compare ourselves and learn from the Asians, but see, they got one up on us, especially those here in America. They got a homeland they can go back to. You feel me? See, in America, they know if they really, if they really go and try to do something to them Asians in this country, they know them, or the Chinese, for example, they know the people back in China ain't having it. We don't have that. You feel me? We can't say, oh, they can do what they want to us, because there ain't no people on the west coast of Africa really fighting for the American black. It's just not. That's just reality.
You
reality.
are correct.
That's what they did. My thing
then you got to ask yourself, do they have the ability to? Hell, they can barely keep the French and the British off their own ass. So no, I
that's
wouldn't put that burden on them and say that they, they got to be the backup to come in. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not putting that burden on them. I
but
totally
they
agree
have
with
an
you.
intact culture. That's why when they come here, they don't deal with you because they feel like, and a lot of people say they're stuck up. No, they're not stuck up. There are places in Africa that I wouldn't allow my sister's dog to live. Right?
Yeah, but
those people are still a part of a culture.
Minds too. The colonized ones come over
they
here.
Probably more colonized
there. Man, you meet some Toms out of that group, and I'm not trying to paint them all with one brush because there's some who come over here whose mind is right. But they've been fed propaganda a long time. They think certain things, and it's disappointing. But we should expect it. The enemy is always at work. We should be at work. But look, sometimes it is going to mean that putting your life on the line, and people have done that. And sometimes it is going to mean being violent towards other people, and people have done that. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's going to be a way to do your work without that too. But when we say Asians, we got to be careful because when you start breaking those countries up, it's a whole different set of circumstances. The Chinese, powerful, yes, they got backup. You start talking about Vietnam, Thailand, and these other places, those are the people who are on the low scale there, call derogatory words, and don't have any backup when it comes to how it goes down.
But we talk. I want to let you know this. We covered that earlier, and we said this is why the Chinese are so powerful, because they don't consider everybody Asian or Chinese. They don't care where you're born. So what I'm saying is we had that. And we have it more so than anyone because we look extremely different. Our phenotype is like none other. Do you know what I'm saying here? But I want to answer you. You said that you have to be willing to die for it. When you have a culture that you subscribe to and it grows, you feed it and you nurture it, there are going to be people who are going to say, look, I'm putting it all on this right here. Yep. Those are the people who are the brave ones. Everybody in a culture is not going to be that. So everybody's not going to say, I'm willing to die for mine. But there are going to be people who will say, you may not, but I am. My dad used to tell us, I'm going to give you the most sacred thing that I can give you, and that's my life. If anybody does anything to you, that's what I can do for you. I'm going to give my life protecting you. That's how my dad felt. But guess what? Not his dad didn't feel that way. So I'm saying. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that you have to understand that when you grow your culture, when it's prosperous, let's use the Asians for an example, there are certain Asians that are very passive. The people call them feminine. They don't give a damn because they subscribe to certain elements within their culture that makes them prosperous. Okay, so they don't care what you think about their teeth, about their bad dental the aspects of their dental work or whatever. They don't care. They don't care about the acne, the glasses, the derogatory images that have been propelled forward by them with having a huge overbite and being really farsighted with thick glasses. They don't give a damn about that. What they care about is, am I in line with my culture?
Right.
That's not us. Everybody, we consider anybody black. Anybody's black. Anybody can be black, and guess what they can do? They can tell us, I'm a better or prettier black than you. We got a couple minutes left. Okay.
We got a couple minutes left, and want everybody to be able to get their last thoughts in. Brother Naj, you want to get your last thoughts in before we close out the show?
No, I guess I'll just be quick. Good to hear y'all having the conversation y'all having and exploring these topics. Like, this is an important part of all of this. Like, you have to suss these things out. You got to put them on the table, think about them, and see where it takes you. And at a certain point, there are going to be disagreements. There are going to be people who decide, I want to move this way, I want to move that way. But then when you have a common idea, you move together. And, it's really just that simple, especially, dealing with the circumstances that we're dealing with. It's just we've bought into so much consumerism and Americanism that it's really hard to get that out of people. But we fought harder battles and won them, and we'll keep winning. But, of course, look, there's going to be progression and regression. Sometimes you're going to push them back, and then they're going to push you back too. So it's not a thing of, okay, looking at your historical time and space right now and say that we're failing. It's a thing of saying, oh, okay, so we need to push at a different angle. How do we beat this monster? We're in an empire that's in decline right now. Where are the advantages for us in that? You know what I'm saying? So there's always ways, and, we'll figure it out.
Dope. We appreciate you, brother, for listening, and please call again. Your opinion, your thoughts are most appreciated. Sapphire, last word?
Well, my last words are going to be, again, what I saw a man say in an old movie. He said that nothing belongs to you or nothing is yours unless you protect it, nurture it, grow it, and sustain it. That's for us. We don't have a culture unless we're willing to do those 4 things for it. And growth is painful. This is what Black folks need to understand. It's not going to feel good because sometimes you'll have to cut your nose off to spite your face. Those are my last words.
Sure that. Thank you, Sapphire. Appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I guess my last words would be, first of all, I want to thank Naj and Sapphire for calling in. Oh man, I love to be educated. I love to be have these type of conversations myself because I like to learn. I like to hear different perspectives. I don't ever want to get you feel me? I want to expand or even solidify my own beliefs and my stances from these type of conversations. That's what they do for me. And as far as us, the Black people as a community, I feel like the gist of this show was educate yourself about yourself. You feel me? Knowledge of self is key. Knowledge of self is key. And that's what the basis, I believe, of what Sapphire is saying. When you have knowledge of self, then that's when you can build that culture and you fall in love with that culture and you're willing to sacrifice and invest everything into that culture, into yourself. You feel me? Be the best version of us. That should be our goal, to be the best version of us. I read the book by Hill Harper, A Letter to the Young Brother. You always said we, the people of today, right now, we are the new and improved version of our ancestors. We are the new and improved. So we have to act like it. We have to act accordingly. We have to learn from their mistakes, learn from their successes, and move forward. And move forward, like the brother Nas said, move forward in power and in strength. And unwavering.
We're about to get cut off, but go ahead and...
Oh, okay. Go ahead, bro.
Right quick. Yeah, this is your boy, Willie Styles. Thanks for everybody listening in. Get at us at GFT_radio, blogtalkradio.com/GFT radio show. Please listen again. We're definitely going to pick this up again another time. And thanks for having us. Everybody have a good night.
See y'all in 7 days.
Holla.
At WSFS Bank, we stand for service. For some people,
Good morning, Mrs. Johnson.
great service means friendly faces at more locations. For others, it's mobile banking, so your money moves with you. For nearly 200 years, we've made serving customers our #1 priority. So whatever you or your business stand for, we'll stand right by your side. We're WSFS Bank, and our friends call us WSFS, and we stand for service. Visit WSFSbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 417673.
We've become a nation obsessed with losing weight overnight instead of staying healthy over time. At RWJ Barnabas Health, our new Center for Weight Loss in Hamilton offers options, the latest in bariatric surgery or physician-directed medical weight loss. Visit rwjbh.org/weight loss. Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, Hamilton, and RWJ Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.